Greetings, everyone. Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Album Homework Assignment. No, it's not Friday morning at the Fun House. You have not come to the wrong day, the wrong program. Myself and Martin Popoff are getting together here and revisiting the first ever Album Homework Assignment show, which was the two of us. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah. Well, really, that was the first one ever.
First
Okay.
one we ever did was you and I. So yes,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
here we go on
Interesting.
the I guess long-awaited season three of this series, which we did away with a couple of years ago. We decided to come back.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we're a couple episodes in, and everybody seems to be having fun doing these. And we got another one for you here today. So Martin and I, it's always a challenge with Martin and myself because we both have heard so many albums in our lives to try and find stuff that maybe we hadn't heard before, but we hit on them pretty easily this time around. So Martin, what did I give you here?
Right. So we've got a Luna Strange Machine from 2022. So there you go. So this is a Doom. Boy, I don't know. I don't know if they're Doom. I don't know. I don't think they're Psych because Psych gets thrown around with these guys as well. But it's so neo Psych that it really doesn't sound anything like old Psych. And people throw around stoner rock too, and I don't think it's particularly stoner rock. I've seen classic rock get said about them a little bit as well. So it's almost like it's got that inflection of ghost like melody into what they're doing. And then I would say stoner rock is the closest that you would say for these guys.
Yeah,
So
you know
so
what it is?
yeah,
They're from Birmingham, so I think that's where the Doom thing comes in a little bit because
sure.
it's kind of heavy, right? But
Yeah.
very cool, man.
Yeah, they've been around for a long time, in operation since 2006, so like 19 years. Sean Greenway is singing on this, so they got female vocals, but they had a different female vocalist before, and she's now out of the band again, although she is on the last album, right?
Yeah, she's got a new band called Bobby Dazzle, which is very
Okay.
cool, very different from this, more kind of like retro glam rock, classic rock from the early 70s type of thing. Very cool, very different, but it kind of sucks she left the band, but that's
Yeah, so she was on the last one, Fever Dream, and then this is the one just before, Strange Machine. So, the funny thing, yeah, there you go. The whole vibe here is one thing I always find funny about some of these albums like this. It's almost like these bands are influenced a little bit by first of all, the doom, of course, comes from the likes of Black Sabbath. And like you say, they're from Birmingham, but it feels like there's always a little bit of Black Widow in there and maybe a little bit of Coven in there. So you've got a little bit of Jinx Dawson because it's female vocal. So it's almost like they're building this idea of what if you put a female vocalist in front of something like this? And then what I find interesting about her is that number one, she's mixed fairly back in the mix, and it's got this big, fat, very modern production style, but not like mid-rangey or clacky production style. It's more the as I say, billowy, pillowy, heavy bassy style here. And she's got this sort of um laconic vocal that feels like it goes with stoner rock because she sounds a little stoned. So it's got a little bit of that Nico, Judy Dibble, Trader Horn sort of feel to her vocals throughout here. So she's definitely the attraction of the band, except all throughout these songs, there is so many interesting, cool melodic parts that get added all over the place, and twin leads and stuff like that. So yeah, opening the album, you've got the title track. You've got the open hi-hat thing going. It's like just kind of butt shaking meat and potatoes metal sort of thing. Over the Hills, big chords again, these fat drum sounds, which sound, I want to bring up something because I was playing this album this morning and it led me to, I thought, is there a ranking of the top AI bands out there, right? And I went and played some other AI because this reminded me of one of the recent bands that is an AI band, because I think it is like one of these doom bands, like everybody was talking about a little while ago. And now I forget the name of them, but it was one of these old doom bands with female vocals. But I played some other one. What were they called? Frostbite Orkings, right? Um, and it sounds great. But it's almost like I listen to this band and it's so good that I kept going back and playing it over and over again. But I thought this sounds like a band that AI is going to be able to pull off something like this soon. because it's got it's got so many of these modern production qualities and just absolutely canny perfect picks of how to be this exact kind of cool stoner rock package thing with a female vocal that I couldn't get out of my head that there's just something about super modern things like this and still at the same time, it appeals to a lot of people. There's a long catalog. There's reviews of it on the internet. It's kind of cool to read that there's this whole environment where people are comparing all the albums and stuff, and that's great. Um, but yeah, it's funny. It's you go through it and there's just that sort of there's just that extra level of self-awareness, and it's just too perfect. In a certain respect, and like they're finding all the kind of cool different things to do throughout it it does feel like there's some sort of magic lost when bands have the whole history of rock and roll to access to make their new music, right? So that's kind of the problem. So that's the only negative I would say about it as I go through it. But yeah, Fade into Fantasy, it's one of my favorites. My favorites on here are Fade into Fantasy, Silver, and Teaching Carnal Sins, which are later on in the album. But Fade into Fantasy, very spacey arrangements. Again, great vocal melodies. It's in 3/4 times, so it's one of those kind. Broken Stone is you got the tribal drums opening it up, and then again grinding groovy. My notes say Geronimo riff, so that whole Tony Iommi Geronimo riff thing is feeling in here as well. Psychedelic Expressway, again, one of these things that you almost expect AI to do. There's flute in here, right? So and flute is just I hate flute so much, but it signals a certain thing. It signals this loopy early 70s vertigo, kind of idea when this goes in here, it makes it kind of otherworldly and weird, right? So
Yeah,
it's
and
kind of cool that
a
it's in
lot
there.
of bands like this are starting to throw things like flute into their music from time to time. It's
Yeah.
not a new trend. This has been going on for a little bit, and maybe that's this way to tie into that magical psychedelic and prog history from the early '70s,
Yeah.
inject something different into
And
the
Sabbath, and it's like when Molly Hatchet all of a sudden has piano flourishes all through it because of Leonard Skinner and stuff
right.
like that, right? It just becomes like a trademark that's in here. But there's acoustic guitars in there, which is really cool too. The Earth Spins, another big riff. It's got a cool arpeggiated part in there as well. Twin leads, and again, what I love about this is that later on in the songs there are just always surprises that are very accessible and easy drinking kind of things, but they are extra parts, and you can tell they're really thoughtful, and this is like a super musical sort of band, right? uh and then let's see, Silver is got that shuffle slash gallop thing that Sabbath does, which is really cool. And again, interesting verse structure, halftime to the chorus, which is really cool. And Teaching Carnal Sins, again, one of my favorites on here, just mid-pace, very melodic, catchy. And Dead Woman Walking is really cool because it's got this bluesy structure, but it's got like the singing over these big spaces. And again, I think we could thank someone like Ghost for some of this extra melody that's getting put in your Sword as well, the Sword. So yeah, that kind of thing is in here. And yeah, I just feel like this is a band that you could just throw on at any time, and just the more you listen to it, you get more kind of addicted to it. But I swear, I think we're going to be flooded by AI bands that are not going to sound very much different than this. That they're just going to have that perfect quality, And again, I was playing this Frostbite Orkings thing, and it sounds like perfect melodic death metal, right? And I went and read an article on it. This is a bit of an aside, but this is kind of interesting. It's like I'm listening to that and going, and then I read an article that talked about copyright issues, right? Saying, how it is scraping all music that is out there to come up with this
Oh, yeah.
music, which, you're never, if it's done properly, you're never going to get anybody saying it really sounds like something else. But until AI stops being mischievous and wants to screw up your life, which it kind of does sometimes, and it just flagrantly lies to you and stuff. I'm listening to that, and I said, if I made that music, I would not have a clue if that if 90% of that song is exactly like a song from a very big popular melodic death metal band from the States, for example, or like even a certain like deep Amon Amarth track kind of thing that I've lost track of or forgot, right?
Sure, of course.
So it's pretty interesting. So I don't know. It just made me think this morning about that idea of you better be careful if you're going to be, because record labels are starting to sign AI people, right? Um, so you better be careful when you make AI music because it really might sound like another song. Like forget abstract, minuscule, infinite little pieces of scraping to come up with something totally new. It's like, no, AI might have stole that song, and if you stick it on your album,
I
you
mean,
know,
the odds of that happening are pretty high.
yeah,
No matter what you create, whether it's someone creates something created by a human or AI, it's bound to sound like something out of the millions of songs that have ever been released
yeah,
and recorded, right? I mean, someone somewhere is going to say, "Hey, that sounds just like that. That took it from that."
yeah.
I think the percentages are really, really high that that will always be the case.
But right now, AI is deliberately mischievous at times. The AI robots lose their minds and start lying to you and stuff. And you can even it's funny doing research for things sometimes. You can really press them on it and they'll come back and say, no, I'm sorry, you're right, I got that wrong, here's the real answer. And it's like, no, that's not even close, I know you're just completely lying to me again, right? Kind of thing. So yeah, that could happen with songs easily enough. So yeah, this Frostbite Orkings, check them out. But and it's great. But it's like that literally could be another song from somewhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. But no, this was great. And this whole thing reminds me of you could pick up these bands, and I guess to pick up these newer bands, you gotta persist and check out the catalog and compare reviews and stuff. And that's the way, those are the gateways into getting into some of these newer bands you didn't know about.
Yeah, and there's so many of them. So, like, for instance, so this band is on Heavy Psych Sounds Records, and they've got
Yeah,
a great roster of artists. And again, to keep up with the stuff that are on Heavy Psych Sounds and Ripple Music and all these other
yeah,
labels, right, Blues Funeral, there's just so many of them. And a lot of them are really, really good. But you got to spend the money and take the time to go out and investigate
yeah,
the catalog. And this band, like you mentioned, has been around, and they're now on their, I think, third singer. I've gone and I've watched some live clips on YouTube of them with Sean, who's great front lady. She's really, really good. And then I've seen some clips of with the new singer. And I don't know if the new singer that's in there now is going to be permanent or just a fill-in, because I think Sean left the band pretty like
yeah.
abruptly.
It was Sophie Day before that, right?
Yes, yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. And what did I want to? Sorry to interrupt, but oh yeah. So I played a bunch of the other albums, and they're not recorded quite the same way as this too. So you can actually see different recording techniques that are used. Some of them are the earlier ones are brighter. This is a very polished, rounded off edges sort of album when it comes to production.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, you were gonna say?
No, I was just going to say that if you really want to kind of take things to the next level based on Martin's explanation of the album, go check out some live clips of this particular lineup on stage, because I think they come off, they're a little bit heavier live, and then you got the visual aspect of it all. I think it'll be interesting to see going forward how this band does with a different singer, because I think that she was like such an important part of this lineup that will it change their sound at all with a new singer? What direction will they go in? I don't know. So we'll see. But yeah, and definitely check out Bobby Dazzle. Loads of fun band. Really, really fun. So,
Neat. Yeah. Cool.
all right, so I was given by Martin an album by a band that I only have one other CD from them, and it's not a band I've gotten into a lot or really heard much at all over the years. It's a band I know you like quite a bit, and I know Peter Kerr is a huge fan, being from Australia. The band is, whether you want to call them Angel City or the
Yeah.
Angels,
Yeah.
I don't know what the proper term is nowadays,
Yeah.
but the album Martin gave me was Dark Room from 1980. And there it is. So is that under, okay, lower it a little bit, Martin? Is that under the Angels or Angel City? What was
Angel City. So this is your 1980 Canadian edition. I'm sure. I think the American's exactly like this, but yeah, there are differences, right, with the Australian. So
Yeah. So again, I've only been familiar with this band from the Face to Face CD. Craig Kaminsky gave me this about a year or so ago. And I think this came out. What year was this? 1970.
yeah, it's again complicated. That's even more of a compilation than the darkroom situation. So I
Yeah,
think that probably says 79 on the
yeah,
back,
it
maybe.
does. Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah,
So yeah, so it's a very, very confusing band for me, very complicated and different releases depending on where you are, different names. And it's just
yeah.
like, you got all these bands with the Angel name and I think that had a lot to do with it. So yeah, but I was interested to go through this whole album. So let me go. I gave like kind of like a track by track summary of this here.
Hmm.
So the album that I listened to again, which is I believe is the same one that Martin held up, and that's the same sequencing. No Secrets was the first song on the album, which is kind of like an up-tempo rocker. I really had no preconceived notions what this band was all about going in, even before hearing the Face to Face record. I would assume this was kind of like just a regular kind of like Australian rock band, maybe hard rock band. But I'm getting on this No Secrets song. I'm getting like a little kind of post-punk, early new wave feel here, which kind of really surprised me. Blended in with some like kind of standard 70s hard rock. It's got a really memorable chorus. The guitars have like kind of like a gritty feel to it. It's a very melodic song. I like it. It's decent. Good start to the album, but a little bit differently. Now, Poor Baby reminds me so much of like Billion Dollar Babies era Alice Cooper group. I get the vibe the song reminds me of that. His vocals, I forget his name. I don't know if I wrote down the guy's name. With one of
Doc Neeson.
Yes,
Yeah.
his vocals remind me of Alice circa like the mid 70s. It's a good up-tempo, fun, hard rock song. It reminds me of the more up-tempo, faster stuff from Billion Dollar Babies, but it's got that kind of like garage rock sort of thing going on, which I kind of dig, right? This retro 70s thing, which I like. Wasted Sleepless Nights slash Dark Room. Again, Doc's vocals again remind me of Alice. But this one's got some kind of like creepy like Doors organ on it, which I thought was pretty interesting. And it's a really catchy song. I like that quite a bit as well. Then Face the Day, which is more of like a blues rocker. Probably my favorite song on here. It's got a really cool guitar riff, which I like a lot. Again, Doc's vocals to me sit in this kind of like Alice Cooper, Jim Morrison, Glenn Danzig kind of place, which I like all three guys, so I kind of dig that. Rick Brewster, I guess, is the lead guitar player on here. He's got a really cool solo on here. Really, really good song. Like I said, perhaps my favorite song on the album. Really, really good. Night Comes Early. Here we go, sounding a little bit like AC/DC. I think when this band is in that groove and when they're really kind of doing their thing, and again, I don't really have much to compare it to, but they do this kind of simple, in the pocket, basic AC/DC style riff, big catchy chorus, kind of pub rocky, sort of. Again, a little bit of that kind of post-punk new wave flavor in there as well, which I think is kind of interesting, and I get that throughout this album. Pretty cool song. Alexander, another big, bright AC/DC, and I'm thinking Bon Scott era AC/DC, like the early part of the catalog. Just simple, effective riffs, catchy chorus, upbeat song, no nonsense kind of rock and roll. And it's really well done. Lyrics seem kind of silly to me, but I don't know. Again, I don't go too far into the lyrics, but pretty cool stuff. And then another track is The Moment, which is kind of slower, kind of moodier. Reminds me of the Kinks with like organ. Kind of strange. I don't know if any of this stuff is making any sense or any of these
Yeah.
vibes you're getting or whatever. But again, not really knowing this band, these are kind of some of the things that kind of hit me. I'm Scared. This was interesting. So I'm listening to this I'm Scared song, and the whole vibe of the song sounds like something that Gene Simmons would write.
Yeah.
Simple, it's kind of brainless, no nonsense, hard rock, cool riff, catchy little chorus, nice guitar solo. I mean, there's not much to not like here. It's appealing and it's to me sounds familiar. And then Devil's Gate, which another one of my favorites here. It's just good, no nonsense hard rock. Nice use of vocal layers on the chorus, which I really kind of dug. They didn't do a lot of that on the rest of the album. It's a good song. It's fun. Uh, this album kind of takes me back in time, and it's like it's simple. At time, the first time I listened to this, I was kind of like, well, some of this is really not like my thing, which is kind of how I thought about this as well. It's like I like parts of it, but some, you can appreciate the simplicity of some of these songs. And again, I'm not knowing the rest of the catalog. I don't know if this is like representative of everything they've done, but this to me just sounds like a no nonsense melodic hard rock slash pub rock band. They have their zone, they stay in it, they maybe don't deviate all that much from it, but just good simple hard rock. If you like, you don't want endless guitar solos and you don't want orchestration and keyboards and all this kind of stuff. Meat and potatoes rock. Vocals are good. It's 70s style vocals, which I kind of dig. And I enjoyed this album. I thought it was good. Whether this is a band that I would dive deeper into that, I don't know, but I was pleasantly surprised by how good this album is and how like fun most of these songs are. It's mostly up-tempo stuff, simple stuff, just good kind of like party rock type of stuff. I kind of liked it. I kind of liked it. So again, Martin, would you consider this one of their best albums? Is the rest of the catalog like this? Again, not knowing much else other than this and Face to Face. It's kind of hard for me.
Yeah, it's fascinating listening to you talk about this because I mean it just proves the interestingness of this whole concept with the homework assignment because it's like when we grew up with this band, it absolutely 100% from far left to far right to the top to the bottom, they were a baby AC/DC. That was the
Okay.
whole idea. So they're they're all tied up in that Albert system. They're from Australia, obviously. To us, Doc Neeson just sounded like the second coming of Bon Scott. They even released records like AC/DC, where they slowly came into North America with a compilation album. And then the next one's got some problems, like some differences. And then after that, I think one or two are the same. I saw them on tour on the album after this, Night Attack, in Vancouver at the Coliseum, but I think it was in concert bowl configuration. Maybe it wasn't. But they were backing up the Kinks, and they famously had a lousy time with the Kinks. The Kinks were not good to them. So it's interesting. It's almost like if you were this also goes to that episode we did ages ago of the old "you had to be there" thing. Because if you're there at the time and this is coming out, it's got a certain different excitement level. And that excitement level to us was exactly, we love AC/DC. Here's another AC/DC. So to us as kids, this was like exactly like how we received Rose Tattoo, for example, right? Um, so everything I hear on this, and here's the other thing that we thought at the time, it's the thinking man's AC/DC, because Doc Neeson, he always put in these things about like the French Revolution, and they're actually very good lyrics. He's a quality lyric guy, and he's a charismatic guy. Tragically, he died. How did this work? So okay, now I'm forgetting this. Not good that I'm forgetting this, but I definitely remember because I interviewed him before too. He either died as a result, he might have died of cancer, but anyways, what did happen to him for sure is he was pulling up to a toll booth on the highway, and he got plowed into in the back and got a serious, serious car accident. I can't remember if that is how he died later on or if it was cancer later on. But anyways, um, he died quite a while ago, and there was a lot of arguing in this band. Back and forth about when he was out of the band, and this band continues. They've had singers since, but kind of a contentious guy in the band.
He had a brain tumor.
Brain tumor. Okay, so I wonder how long that was after the accident. He told me all about the accident when I interviewed him.
2013 is when he was diagnosed with the brain tumor. The accident was in 1999.
Okay, so I interviewed him in between there.
Yeah.
Okay, so it had nothing to do with the accident. But really, really interesting guy. Just one of these enigmatic, kind of intellectual singers. You bring up Jim Morrison. He kind of reminds me of Jim Morrison in a way. But again, the whole thing is I can listen to the entire variety of these songs on here, and the only thing I'm hearing is the AC/DC palette widened a little bit. So I'm not hearing any of those other things. Although you mentioned Kinks, which was really interesting. I'll have to listen to it in that light, and pub rock, and Peter Kerr will tell you, there's a whole different definition of pub rock in Australia versus pub rock in the UK, right? But it definitely comes from that pub rock thing that brought us Buffalo and you know Colored Balls and Buster Brown and all those bands, Cavas Jute, Bob Daisley before that, Billy Thorpe. But again, into AC/DC, and so yeah, they're a babies. They're a baby AC/DC. They're coming just a little after all the way. The first album's really same thing. The first album's really, really bad and old sounding and kind of old rock and roll, like AC/DC's, Hiccup High Voltage album, right? The very first, the version of a high voltage that comes from Australia. So their album is like that as well. But then they're all great after that. No Exit and Fate, and then into Dark Room, you've got Night Attack, you've got 2 Minute Warning, and they kind of go on and on. And Doc is in the band for something like, I don't know, 7 to 10 albums sort of thing, and then he's gone kind of later on.
It looks like they put something out in 2024.
Yep. And I have played over and over again. Sadly, this singer is no longer the singer of the band, but they have that song, I think it's called Walk the Walk, which you play that song and it's an absolute masterpiece of, it sounds like AC/DC in the 90s. It's just a beautiful, beautiful, well put together, kind of slow moving, quiet, atmospheric AC/DC type song. It's almost practically my favorite Angels song of all time, and that's with the post doc lead singer who's no longer the lead singer anymore.
Is that Dave Gleason?
Yes, I believe so. And if you look at the catalog's a mess because they have all these live albums, re-recording their old songs albums, and that all has to go to this war between the Brewster brothers and the rest of the guys, sort of thing. And that's why they get this very fragmented catalog and these different singers and stuff. But yeah, that song, if anybody wants to check out a later song, it's an absolute masterpiece. It sounds like the greatest song from AC/DC, post Razor's Edge to today. Like it literally might be the greatest song that AC/DC never wrote. Yeah, it's really cool. But yeah, I love this album. It is one of my favorite albums of all time. And yeah, like I say, everything on it. There's your lyric sleeve. That's what it looks like. And then you get the so this is kind of, that's an old picture, but Doc has this kind of creepy, lurchy, like the guy from the Cramps.
Yeah, kind of looks like
Yeah.
Colin Clive from the original Frankenstein movie
Oh
too.
yeah. So yeah, he's got this really cool stage presence, but yeah, like I say, obviously, sadly, no longer with us. So
Yeah.
there you go.
What's interesting is to hear you talk about how, like, back in the day when this band came out or Rose Tattoo came out, how excited you guys were for another band or bands that kind of sounded like AC/DC, and how we embraced that back in the day, where today that's frowned upon, right? A lot
Mhm.
of people like who are our age who hear all these newer bands coming up who are kind of sound like the older bands, like, if I want to hear the Black Sabbath or AC/DC, I'll go listen to my Black
Yeah.
Sabbath or AC/DC albums. Back in the day when we heard a band that was kind of similar, we embraced that and we were excited to have another band in a style of another band that we really love. So it's
Well,
interesting.
it's because there was only one or two of them, right? There just
Right. Well,
weren't
yeah, now
many.
there's
So
hundreds, right?
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
it's different.
You
Yeah.
just sit in your bedroom and make records now.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
just super easy. You could be 12 years old making records,
Yeah. Basically. Yeah.
Yeah. I
So,
mean, there was a major label system that you had to go through, pretty much.
yep. Yep.
Yeah.
If you got signed to that major label, chances are you were pretty good, right? So we would take notice. So
Yeah.
yeah, times have changed, Martin. Times have changed.
Yeah.
All right, so there we have it. Two albums today. I think we both got plus thumbs up pluses
Absolutely.
on
Yeah.
both sides. So Aluna and Angel City, or the Angels, however you want to call it. And we'll see you next time here for another episode of Album Homework Assignment with two more people. We'll see what the matchups bring us. We've already had a bunch of these so far, so people seem to be digging this show once again. So. Martin, you want to give us a quick update on what's going on your end with podcast and Contrarian?
Yeah. So folks can check out my audio podcast, History in 5 Songs with Martin Popoff, 327 episodes so far. Never missed a week. Started 6 years ago or whatever. Funny story. You and I have never talked about this, but remember we did the first progressive rock album, right?
Yes.
So someone put in a very eloquent comment about what is the last progressive rock album. So I actually did that as an episode. And the new one I'm doing is still based on that concept. So the one I'm doing, probably knocking off tomorrow, will be what was the last hair metal album. And people can listen to it and see what I'm talking about, sort of thing. But it's,
Okay. That's
yeah.
yeah, it's
So
an
I won't go through to explain it. But and also, of course, martinpopoff.com for the big, well, actually a bunch of stuff just came out. The massive Iron Maiden book behind me here, the massive Dio, the massive Deep Purple, and the two redone versions of my old Whitesnake book, which has been, the last time that was in print was 2015, and the new, well, the Merciful Fate, the Max Webster, and the Scorpions. So those are all out as well. And we've got our video channel, the Contrarians.
There you go. So that White Snake, the new edition, that's basically the revamped Sail Away, right? Was that what the old one was?
Yeah, it is, and it's not that revamped. It brings everything up to date. But like my Accept book, I've got a couple of these books where I really haven't given like full chapters to later albums. So I've got a few books like that now. But yeah, new cover and a bunch of other cool little tidbits throughout, sort of thing. Scorpions is kind of done the same way, except Scorpions does bring it right up to Rock Believer. So every album does still get a chapter in the Scorpions book.
That's good. Yeah, you got to keep them current, right? That's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So there you have it, everybody. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram all the damn time. See you in back here in 2 weeks for another episode or episodes of Album Homework Assignment with two new folks sitting in the Zoom. Till then, for Martin Popoff, I am Pete Pardo. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.